Even after D'Anthony Melton tore his ACL, even after the Warriors last season used his contract to send to the Brooklyn Nets in order to acquire Dennis Schroeder, it was very, very well known how badly the Warriors wanted to bring him back this season, and really how much Melton wanted to be a Warrior. He loved being on the Warriors for his short time last season. And the long awaited rumor, the anticipated return, is finally inked. D'Anthony Melton is returning to the Warriors, and the Warriors are definitely happy about it. Melton is very happy about it too, a Southern California native who really enjoyed his time here in San Francisco. And when I think about D'Anthony Melton, the first thing I think about actually is his last game in a Warriors jersey, because the talking point wasn't supposed to be him at all. And it wasn't really the talking point until weeks later, because at first it was known as, I believe it was a sprained knee. And then there was a lot of what's going on here? How many games is he going to miss? And then the bombshell happened that he did have to get surgery to repair that torn ACL, and D'Anthony Melton would be out for the season. His tenure with the Warriors last season, at least, was done after just 6 games where he showed so much promise and proved to be such a great fit with the Warriors. So let's go to that last game. What game was that? That, of course, was the return of Klay Thompson. The Splash Brother was back in the building at Chase Center. All eyes were on Klay Thompson. Everyone had their captain's hat on, and it went from Klay being the storyline to the other half of the Splash Brothers being the storyline when Steph Curry went off at the end of the game, scored the final 12 points to bring the Warriors back to a very, very memorable win. Let everybody know about it. You know the video that I'm talking about. But D'Anthony Melton had a huge part in that comeback win as well, and showed why he's such a two-way fit with Steph Curry in the backcourt. I want you to go to the story that I wrote on NBCSportsBayArea.com, my analysis of D'Anthony Melton's return. And in there, I have a clip of what I'm talking about. With about 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, this is who D'Anthony Melton is. He dives for a loose ball. He gets it to his teammate. He runs the floor, excuse me, there, and he nails a three-pointer at the top of the arc that brings the Warriors deficit down to 4 with just under 4 minutes left. D'Anthony Melton was huge in that win, as I already brought up. His final tally was being a plus 12 with 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal. And that's just the overall game that D'Anthony Melton brings to the Warriors. Now, of course, there are concerns. Of course, injury concerns being there. This isn't the same contract that the Warriors gave to him last season when he was on the mid-level exception for over $12 million. It's, of course, much lower than that. So, yeah, there are concerns, but I think that the reward outweighs the risk. But what is the risk? This is someone I already brought up. Only played 6 games last season. Torn ACL. But it's not just a knee issue. It's not just the knee concern. I think the back concerns have to be, as, I don't want to use the word alarming, but or concerning, or worrisome. Yeah, those are scary words. But at least on the Warriors' radar, and it's another person to add to Rick Celebrini's long list of players who he has to keep an eye on to make sure that they're healthy for when it matters most. This isn't a player who's deeper into his 30s like a Steph Curry, an Al Horford, a Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, so on and so forth. D'Anthony Melton should be in his prime. He's mid-late 20s. I believe he's 27 years old. But with somebody who has back issues where the season before tearing his ACL, he didn't even last half the season for the Philadelphia 76ers, you're going, uh-oh, is this guy going to play a whole season? For the Warriors, they sure hope so. Obviously for Melton too. But now the question when it comes to D'Anthony Melton also is the same question as last offseason when he signed with the Warriors, when he joined a shooting guard rotation of himself, of Buddy Hield, and Brandon Podziemski. My question to you guys, which will be a question, of course, to Steve Kerr throughout training camp, preseason, so on and so forth, is who starts in the backcourt next to Steph Curry? Here's my initial take. And again, I want you guys to give me your take in the comments. My initial take and analysis when it comes to that is that I expect, I can't predict quite yet, but I expect Brandon Podziemski to begin the season as the starting shooting guard next to Steph Curry. Steve Kerr, of course, loves the connector. That's his buzzword when it comes to Brandon Podziemski. All the little things that Brandon Podziemski does. We know the way that he takes charges. We know that he keeps the ball moving. His nose for the ball, where he goes up and gets rebounds. He's one of the best rebounding guards in the entire NBA. That really translated from his 1 year at Santa Clara to the NBA already through his first 2 years. And once the Warriors acquired Jimmy Butler, Brandon Podziemski was a different player. You saw that he had all these smart IQ players, all these really strong competitors around him. And I think that just opened up Brandon Podziemski's game. So what that would do is that would then leave Buddy Hield on the bench, which I still believe is still most likely his best fit with the Warriors. It just being that microwave scorer, that Jamal Crawford-esque type of scorer, the sixth man, being an absolute three-point threat on every single night. And then, yeah, that leaves D'Anthony Melton on the bench for the time being. I still think that when D'Anthony Melton is fully cleared, when they feel like he's as close to 100% as possible, that of all three of those shooting guards, he is the best fit next to Steph Curry. He just is. We can go back to the years with Klay Thompson, and of course you have the Splash Brothers nickname that I brought up. You have the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history. But the reason that backcourt works so well, the reason that Steph and Klay were such a perfect combination together wasn't just the shooting. Really, it was Klay Thompson's defense. How he grew into one of the best two-way players in the NBA. The fact that he was an all-defensive player the year that he unfortunately had his torn ACL in the NBA Finals, and then that, of course, diminished that part of his defense in the years since. That truly made them such a perfect backcourt, and that's why D'Anthony Melton and Steph Curry are such a good duo together. D'Anthony Melton isn't 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". He doesn't have that size that a Klay Thompson has, but his long wingspan and his on-ball defense, he is an absolute disruptor for opposing offenses. He's going to get deflections. He's going to get in passing lanes. He's going to find ways to get steals. He understands both on-ball defense and team defense. And I have to say, when he went down, the Warriors really, really, really missed his athleticism, but his on-ball defense was a huge hole for the Warriors the rest of the season. So I think that when he's healthy, he's the best fit. Like, their numbers together in 6 games were off the charts when it comes to their offensive rating, their defensive rating, of course, their net rating, their plus minus together. It was clear that they're the best duo together. D'Anthony Melton began the season coming off the bench, but that was a part of the injury concerns. Some stuff popped up in the preseason. He wasn't feeling perfectly himself at the beginning of the season, and then he gets his first start against the Oklahoma City Thunder right before that comeback win against the Mavs, and that was a win against the eventual champions where he put together a two-way game where if you're Steve Kerr, you're going, yeah, this is going to work, and it's going to work next to Steph Curry. But let's be real here. In reality, the main thing is that it's about matchups when it comes to Steve Kerr. And yeah, in an 82-game season, Brandon Podziemski is going to get starts. D'Anthony Melton is going to get starts. Buddy Hield is going to get starts. That's just the way it goes. The Warriors, Steve Kerr had to use 38 starting lineups last season. Does he want to use that many this season? I don't think so. You know, this is someone who's all about cohesion, all about the chemistry together. But he's also someone who looks at the matchups game by game. And this is an 82-game season with an older team where Steph Curry's going to need nights off, where Jimmy Butler's going to need nights off, where Draymond Green is going to need nights off, so on and so forth. And then there's just of course, again, the grind where injuries are going to happen, things pop up. So, in the grand scheme of things, I believe that all three of those shooting guards are going to find themselves at times in the starting lineup. But I also believe that when D'Anthony Melton is right, when it's time for the lights to get brightest, when it's time for, okay, we are in playoff mode, I still believe that he is the best fit next to Steph Curry. I don't want that to come off as discrediting Buddy Hield or Brandon Podziemski, because I think that the Warriors are confident that Brandon Podziemski can make a real year 3 leap. They love Buddy Hield. Of course, his locker room presence, his 3-point threat. And is Buddy Hield the best defender? No, but he's improved on that part. He's going to give you everything he has effort-wise. So I still think that at the end of the day, you're going to see D'Anthony Melton and Steph Curry together when they're all healthy as much as possible. But no matter what role D'Anthony Melton winds up in, the Warriors are better off having D'Anthony Melton back in a Warriors jersey.